1:32 p.m. We're 2
Sorry.
minutes late.
No,
I
we're fashionably late.
apologize.
Fashionably late in a
Matthew had to
necktie.
get us some water.
No, it's because when you wear a tie to a business meeting that is not a book reading, but it's a business meeting about business facts, business realities.
Not what's happening today.
Robbie, where is
wrote
your
the
suit
agenda.
and where is your briefcase? All right, I got a haircut today. I'm feeling fancy
feeling
and
very
fine,
powerful.
and
Yeah.
I'm here to discuss the terms of the deal and sign the contracts and negotiate the truces and broker the accords and finesse the fine points.
Are you actually willing to be doing all of those things?
I just did them
Those
all.
are none of the things that you are interested
just
in doing.
invoked
I
those
would
things.
love to see you do any of those things.
I do sometimes go to business meetings, you know that. And
I know, but you don't broker any.
No,
anything.
I use charm and sideways glances to achieve the ends that I desire, instead of knowing any facts or signing any forms. It's a much easier approach, I think. It's the way I like to go. Hello, friends!
Hello, friends.
Welcome to Saturday on the show. I was just received unless this person was talking about you looking professional and top-notch, I think she was talking about
you.
me.
I know.
Just my thought, just my guess. What does the agenda say? I hope that it begins with some comment on my dress.
Well, I didn't know you were going to dress up today.
A good
Otherwise,
agenda.
I would have put
a
it
good
on the
agenda
agenda.
anticipates what's going to happen. That's all. Anticipating trends is a big part of business success. All right, let's go on. Move it. No, yes. Remind people about the thing that Robbie's diving right into it. Facts to Robbie are due today. You guys.
Facts to thrill Robbie are due today.
To thrill Robbie.
Now,
I'm thrilling Robbie with my tie. If you want to give Robbie, send a picture of yourself in business attire to Robbie, that's another way to thrill her. But if not...
But that's not about robots. It has to be about robots.
If you are wearing both a robot costume and a tie, Robbie will be doubly thrilled. Am I correct? Am I
Waylon
right?
was wearing robot PJs all week, and that would thrill me.
I would wear robot PJs if someone had provided them to me.
That's
My
true.
chief pajama provider has fallen short on that front. Not anticipating this week's theme.
I was not ready.
No.
I was not ready.
Okay.
To
So guys,
provide you.
send Robbie some links. Now here's the thing. In the last hour, somebody sent Robbie some research and she shot it down because it was too ordinary. When you go to...
No, you know what?
What?
I do think that that's a fascinating point. That the word robot comes from a Czech word roboto. I think that's what it was. That means servant.
Ordinary, mundane,
No.
hardworking, drudgerous.
Drudgery.
No. We want excitement here.
No, I think that's so interesting because of course we invented robots to do the things that we
don't
don't
wanna
want
do
to do
ourselves.
ourselves.
That's right.
But now the question is, will they keep doing the things that we don't want to do? We actually haven't we've gotten them to sit in all of those Ford automobile seats.
With the robotic butt.
With the robotic butt.
Yeah.
We've gotten them to make poop, which
The
we do
question-
ourselves.
the question
it's not
and
like
the
it's
fear.
taking that one off of our plate, though.
Will the robots gain their own consciousness
Ooh,
and
that's
express
not-
their
That's
opinions?
not where we want to go.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying. You were saying, will they continue to do these things? At a certain point, they might not be willing to. All right, let's shy away from that on this program.
That's why the research on robots sometimes
El
gets
Puppy,
a little...
you're forgiven. You get a get out of jail free card for 1,000 years because you're great and we love you. I mean, Robbie does. I resent you silently because of
you don't.
because of all the love
do
you don't
not.
send me. Yeah, no,
That's not true.
I'll do it right out loud.
not true.
What's next on the agenda? I don't want her out of time like we did in the last show.
Okay.
All right, what's happening? Theme of the week. Wait, tier, up. Do you want me to jump? This. Oh, I don't like where this is going. Robbie, why? Why?
Because
Why?
it's Saturday. I forgot
Why?
it was Saturday.
Why?
We're not supposed to be
Why?
doing anything today.
Robbie, this is no ordinary Saturday. This is business meeting
the
Saturday.
weekend.
We're solving all of the
we
problems.
did not mean to
The
have
shareholders are
a
present.
business
We're gonna
meeting
have
on a
big.
Saturday.
We're gonna have big votes
What
of
were we
consequence.
doing?
We're gonna hand out the mints and the keys to the executive washroom. You know what? We
Wow,
only have
I made a big mess, you guys.
we only
That
have
was
one washroom in this
a
place,
lot
so
bigger of
it
a
is.
washroom.
Isn't that
Where
what
are
you
you
call
from?
it? I think that's what you do. It's where you wash your hands. It's a room where you wash your hands.
I've always called it a bathroom, even though some bathrooms don't have baths in them.
Well, all bathrooms have
Wait,
washes
is this a
in them.
Midwestern thing?
Robbie, can we move on to the next item
No,
on the
I'm
agenda?
honestly
I don't want to.
curious.
Let's
Do
ask
who-
El Puppy. Do
who
you ever
calls it
call
a
it a washroom?
washroom?
I thought a washroom was like the civilized way of saying it. You shy away from the fact that there's a toilet there. You emphasize the cleanliness part of it. So that's what I think. Science News article on creating empathetic robots based on will to survive. Well, thank you. Thank you. I like that. Can you send us a little bit more, please?
Actually, well, that's part of your homework. You're supposed to send it to me in
send
an
the
email.
link. We sent you a document containing robot research to Robbie's email. Thank you, William. Oh, and there's a joke from El Puppy. Should we do them now or later?
And we have no agenda. Now, so my question was, I had originally written that we were going to be reading the second half of Chapter 9 of Two's a Crowd.
Yeah.
But I forgot that it was Saturday. You guys, I've totally lost track of every minute of what day of the week we are.
You guys, I have been writing this week, and so Robbie has been thrust into this unfamiliar position while trying to raise all of our children, make the meals, and do lots of things that usually she does not need to do because there's usually two of us. So,
one thing that I was going to put on the agenda.
Yes.
Is I was going to point out Robbie's many flaws.
Oh, good. Okay? I love that topic.
Yes.
Go on.
I feel like sometimes, especially for members of my fan club, they think perhaps that I am infallible. My confidence gives them a false sense of my abilities.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So
because usually we associate confidence with competence.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Which makes sense.
It does.
I am very competent in certain things.
Yes.
And in those things I am confident. And because of those things that I'm competent in, competent means I'm able to do these things.
Competent means ability to adequate ability. Competence is enough ability to do the things that you're called on to do. If you are a competent accountant, you can do accounting well enough to do it right.
Yes.
If you are a competent archer, you can hit the target because you have competence. If you are incompetent,
then you don't hit the target.
Hit the target. Yeah. Okay, just wanted to
So, I feel like my competence in the areas in which I am competent have given me confidence. I have confidence in myself because I know that there are some things I do well. However, there are many things that I do not do well, and one of them seems to be baking. Now, here's the thing.
Yes, let's hear it, Robbie.
And cooking.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
My grandmother, who was a very wise woman, she was one of the first PhDs in chemistry, first women PhDs in chemistry in the whole country. She also read and memorized poetry. She was very smart.
Yes. What about
She always said, anyone who can read can cook. Because you just follow a recipe, right? Now, she was a chemist, so she was very good at following instructions very carefully and closely.
I know where you're going with this, and I'm formulating a rebuttal, so I'm going to warn you that I think the conclusion you're reaching is questionable. But go ahead.
Well, I tried baking bread. It was a disaster. My bread was not delicious. It was not smooth and plump. It was dense and hard and did not taste delicious. I also tried to make popovers for Matthew yesterday because they're his favorite thing. They were hard little nuggets like this that didn't rise in the way that they were supposed to, and they overbaked.
When may I start rebutting?
Wait, there was something else that I tried to make. What was the third thing?
You tried to make breadsticks.
I tried to make breadsticks. They were hard and crusty and too salty, and my children don't know well enough to not think that they were delicious. They were not delicious.
When do I get to speak?
Okay. Are those the only three things? I feel like I've messed up a few more things.
I don't think so. Robbie's point about her grandmother saying, if you can read, you can cook, basically means recipes exist in books. If you follow the recipe. However, I absolutely disagree with this. It's not if you can read, you can cook. It's if you read and you devote the time to trial and error, you can cook. It doesn't mean you can do it right the first time. If you read a manual on how to fly a helicopter, you should be able to fly a helicopter. But you do simulations first. You practice. You take the helicopter on a short voyage before you go all the way across the sea. All I'm saying is reading and learning how is not the same as gaining practice and experience and learning how to adapt and evolve. Robbie, I dare say, if instead of making 3 different baked things, you had tried 3 times to make the same thing, you probably would have improved. Second point.
That is true.
Your breadsticks were terrible.
They were terrible. Thank you.
The children liked them. I didn't even have more than a bite.
They were gross.
The bread, I didn't even try.
Good.
I didn't even try. But the children liked it. The popovers were not the popovers of my youth, but they were still good. They were good. Robbie's been very hard on herself for no good reason because she's been bringing delight to the people that she tried to please. Her standards have been beyond the scope of necessity.
My standards were to please myself.
Yes, but all you did
was
punish yourself with your self-condemnation. Your competence was enough to please your family.
Well, see, this is how I get to be overconfident, you guys. Matthew boosts up my confidence when I'm feeling unconfident about something.
Your confidence in this particular case is completely called for. We've been eating just fine in the midst of this strange time. Thank you, Robbie, for trying. I wouldn't even try to bake something. All right? That's all I'm saying.
I partly tried because everybody said baking makes you happy. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
I make things over and over again. I have a delicious lasagna I've made 50 times, and now I know how to do it. It turns out really well.
Really good.
I did try to make fried rice for the first time.
Oh, and you did a great job.
I read it. I read the recipe. I had the right.
Thus he could cook.
But there was no baking involved. There was no yeast rising passage of time.
Same as baking. I think if you read a recipe, you read a recipe. Here's the thing.
Wise words, Matthew. One of the E's said, "Wise words, Matthew." Thank you. Tell Robbie. Good job, Matthew. Oh, I like this enthusiasm. Yes, Waylon, I see that you sent me something. I'm not going to check it right now
because I want to. He sent the picture.
All right.
You know what? We're going to put it in our. We're going to put it in the robot.
But he really wants me. There he is.
Okay.
There is my man with his robot shirt. All right.
Oh, sweet, and it's dancing to a little.
It's very cool.
What's it called?
He's standing on one hand. You guys. All right. Can you, Waylon, make sure that your mom or dad are okay with me putting it on the show tomorrow? Have one of them send me an email or a text saying that it's okay. Okay?
Yes.
Because we don't want to do that if it's not. So, all right, friends. So, Robbie, we have a decision to make. We have to decide whether we're going to read the Real McCoys or not. We could do some jokes. I don't know if people came with enough content for the next 17 minutes otherwise. Shouldn't we finish the chapter since we're halfway through it?
Well, that was my question. Are people going to be upset that we sort of left him hanging for the entire weekend?
We are the leaders here. We need to be decisive. We don't need to wishy-washy waffle. This is where we take charge. Yes, we're going to read it. So hand me the book.
Where is the book? It's under there. It's under the Henderson Robot book.
We are going to finish this chapter.
Okay, but tomorrow is going to be a free-for-all robot...
so bring it, friends.
What's it called?
Conclusion.
A robot roundup.
A finale.
Yes.
A grand hoo-ha-ha.
So, aside from telling everyone interesting facts about robots, tomorrow will be a grand boo-ha-ha. Oh, I did want to correct the joke that I made yesterday that I didn't quite remember. Remember the coffee joke? Matthew?
I do remember it, Robbie.
Do you remember how I asked the joke?
Like, what is a fight?
Yes.
We're related to coffee or something?
It's what is a joke about coffee.
Oh, what is a joke about coffee?
A brew-ha-ha. That was the joke part. I totally got it wrong.
Did you remember that, or did Jennifer
I saw the email.
Remind you?
I was looking through my email again, and I was sorting through the emails that were supposed to be about this show.
We apologize, Jennifer, for taking your...
I totally dinged it. All right.
Okay.
All right. El Puppy is the president of the show. Thank you, El Puppy. I appreciate your leadership.
Okay,
I had to switch over. I'm sorry. I forgot what I was doing. Because I ripped up the agenda, and how am I supposed to know what's going on anymore?
Dance amongst yourselves for a moment, friends. Page 149.
149.
149.
See, you guys, this is what happens.
149.
When Robbie sleeps in and doesn't know what's going on.
It's all right, Robbie. Stakes are low. Stakes are low.
Stakes are so low.
Okay. So, friends... Robbie, what is it? Moxie is dejected.
Yes.
What's her name? Emily has betrayed her. Emily is talking to Milton in spite of the fact that Milton and Moxie are fighting. Moxie thinks that's awful. Milton and John, who is the person who has just received a squiggler letter of his own, are over on the bench. They are conspiring. Moxie is sad. So, here we go. I decide not to glance over at Emily. Of course, I want to know if she's glancing over at me. Eventually, I glance just the tiniest glance, and when I do, I see Emily smiling at me longingly as a cat on the wrong side of a river. While I tried to decide whether I should smile back, I think of Annabelle Adams, who once burned every last photograph of her best friend Eleanor to erase the painful memories after Eleanor ran off in a treacherous rage and joined forces with Annabelle's nemesis, Dr. Fungo, on the island of miniature porcupines. But I do not have any photographs of Emily Estevez. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't burn them because she is so kind and pure and admirable. At least she was, until she shattered my soul with an act of unthinkable betrayal. I make up my mind. I do not smile back. In fact, I even scowl a little. Emily makes a face like the Tooth Fairy might when she hears some kid doesn't believe in her anymore. At lunch, I grab my tray and head off to the farthest corner of the cafeteria. I need to figure things out. Everything is falling apart. I've made no progress on the case. I have no access to the critical evidence. My partner won't talk to me. In fact, he won't even look at me. And my best friend has betrayed me. I'm tempted to drop the case and quit school and herd cattle on the pampas of Argentina, but I'm reminded of the time in Volume 38, Seal of Approval, when the Princess of North Gargantua asks Annabelle to save a pod of stranded baby seals. But then it turns out that the princess is actually Dr. Fungo's demented niece Margot in disguise, and the seals are just an elaborate smokescreen to keep Annabelle distracted while Fungo's robot army steals enormous brawn hamburger from the sculpture of Lord Much, a plot that Annabelle figures out instantly and squashes single-handedly because she's just that good. Does Annabelle return the hamburger and go back to her condominium and sit in her hot tub and eat a bunch of cheesecake? Of course not. Because even though Margot is a sneaky fraud, those stranded seals still need saving. With or without Milton, with or without Emily, I will unmask the squiggler and save the day. Because somebody has to. I am trying to make sense of it all when I feel a gentle hand on my shoulder. It's Emily, looking like a puppy stuck in a rainstorm. My heart leaps, but I do not show it. What? I say. I'm sorry, she says. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. My heart explodes like the finale of a fireworks show. My life without Emily Estevez was a cold, sad wasteland full of empty bottles and broken dreams. Now she's here, and we can get back to business. That's okay. I extend my elbow and she extends hers, and we have perhaps the most satisfying secret handshake in our already extraordinary friendship. Emily sits down across the table and looks at me with the love of 100 baby unicorns. Do you understand why I went over to talk to Milton? I can't say that I do exactly, but I'm not interested in dragging us back into the past. Emily and I are the best friends again and will be forever, and that is all that matters. Of course, I say. So we're okay, she says. I reach both of my hands out to Emily. It's a thing I've seen girls do on TV shows, and I want to see how it feels. Emily takes my hands. We look into each other's eyes. It's even better than banana cream pie with actual banana slices on top. I have an idea. Emily, can we make a promise to never fight again and to always be completely honest with each other and to always tell each other everything? Sure. Great. I consider taking out a piece of paper and writing some best friend bylaws so that both of us will always know exactly what is and isn't okay to do or think or say at any given moment, but I don't. Because it seems like something Danny would do, and I feel like kicking Danny in the shin. Plus, bylaws are unnecessary when it comes to a friendship like ours. We're sitting there together, chewing and smiling like best friends do, saying not much of anything when a thrilling thought slams into my brain like a big-fisted giant pounding on a flimsy wooden door. Best friends tell each other everything. Tell me everything! What do you mean? John's letter, Milton's theories and observations. Tell me everything you learned about the case, about the squiggler. You have all the information we need. Emily's nose and forehead fill with wrinkles. I'm sorry, but Milton asked me not to talk about the case. He said those things were top secret. I look at Emily as seriously as the doctor stares at a gushing wound. Emily, let's back up for a second. Are you my friend? Of course. Good. I just wanted to be sure. Next point. Did we or did we not just promise to never fight and to be honest with each other and to tell each other everything? Emily lets it sink in. All that's true, but I made a promise to Milton. What about your promise to me? Emily looks like the rope in a tug of war. I don't want to fight, and I am being honest. And I'll tell you everything except when it means breaking a promise I've made to someone else. So let me get this straight. Are you picking Milton over me? Again? It's an impossible situation. You think Milton's secrets are more important than our friendship? They're equally important. This is your last chance to save what might be the greatest friendship in the history of friendships. I'm sorry, but I just can't. This lunch is over, I say. And for the record, you've sided with the wrong McCoy. Emily looks like a soda can that has just been run over by a dump truck full of cinder blocks. If she were still my best friend, I might give her a long, encouraging hug. But she isn't, so I don't. Instead, I walk off in a huff. But since I have nowhere to go until lunch ends, I spend the next 15 minutes alone in the bathroom, not losing owl points while practicing my single eyebrow lift. That night, I tell Dad I'm not feeling well and ask if I can skip dinner. Later, he brings me a sandwich and asks me if I want to talk about it. And when I say yes, and then no, and then yes, and then no, he gives me 2 hugs and asks if maybe I'd like to talk to Mom. Oh, and I would, more than anything in the world. But instead we get Mom's voicemail, which says that she's gone on a week-long trek beyond cell phone range. I picture her on her raft, alone with nothing but a paddle in piranha-infested waters, bravely dodging 10-foot pythons, accomplishing great feats, and saying the word and saving the world while she's at it. Dad gives me a 3rd hug and sits there for a while, not really talking, but saying exactly what I need to hear.
Aw, I love that picture
Me
of sad
too.
Moxie in her bed with her dad reading.
Me too, and it's true. Sometimes when someone has sad or has a problem, trying to fix it for them isn't the way to help them the best. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to listen and to be there and to love them.
Aw.
Yeah, that's...
I'm such a fixer. I
yeah.
always want to fix things, and
Yeah.
sometimes things just can't be fixed.
Yeah.
Certainly not by me. So,
Oh.
I'll look at that. One thing.
Yes?
Oh, it was fun to imagine Moxie's mom on
Oh.
her raft with the piranhas. But you know what? I had to draw this one a bunch of times.
Why?
Because I needed to be able to show the piranhas down there underwater. Oops. Shucks. Sometimes that has trouble.
It's hard. You can't take it very far. It advances. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I had to be able to make the piranhas dark enough and the water dark enough to differentiate it from the top surface of the water. Anyway,
It's a real study in contrast.
I had to draw it a lot of different times.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, I got all the way done, and I had been working so tiny that the piranhas were so tiny you couldn't even tell that they were piranhas. So I had to redraw those.
And
guys.
sometimes you lose your sense of scale, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard. There's so much that you learn while making art, you guys, that lets you make art better the next time. Even as I'm reading this book,
Yeah.
there are ways in which I say, I would have done this differently. I would have changed this. I've learned, this is a long time ago. I've written a bunch of books since then. So, yeah. Do you guys have any questions for us about anything? It's a while since we've asked you for questions. We've asked you for jokes, but is there anything we can tell you about how we do what we do or anything at all?
Or anything.
Look at this. I left 2 books on my porch yesterday for new readers. One was the Real McCoys. They're in someone else's hands today. Thank you for spreading our books into the world. That's awesome. Oh, page 161 is beautiful, both words and art. So what is that? Is that Moxie's dad? Let's see. Which one is page 161? Yes.
Oh,
I agree. It's one of our
that's
favorites.
one of my favorites.
And show on page 161 what's on Moxie's dad's shirt. This is a little thing that some of our...
thing I was going to show. But
our-
first,
yeah.
I want to show that I made Moxie's eyes banana cream pies with sliced bananas on them.
Yeah.
But I see they look like cucumbers when it's not zoomed in.
It's too
Another
small.
thing that got to be too small when I was working on it, and I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, sometimes your best intentions just don't get... I also like the big pile of unicorns with hard eyes.
I have to say, this is another one I had to draw multiple times, because the first set of unicorns that I drew did not look cute. They looked sort of...
Scary.
I mean, they looked more like horses. And so I had to look at you know what I did? I looked at a bunch of cute... I guess I think I looked up, like, Japanese anime unicorns. And I saw that they had these, like, sort of little stubby noses and round heads. And I was like, oh,
All right, go
that's
back.
how to draw a cute
Go
unicorn.
back a couple pages.
Backwards?
Yeah. Right there.
Oh.
This is one that when Robbie stayed up all night doing this one night, and in the
Yeah.
morning she was like both angry and tired, but also very proud of herself. And she brought me over to her computer and showed it
Yes.
to me and said how proud she was that she figured out how to make the fireworks.
It took me a long time to figure out those fireworks, and now that I look at it, I see that one of them I'm not happy with, but the rest of them, one of them just looks like a bunch of
Which one are
like
you not
a
happy
plastic
with?
bag in the ocean.
Which one?
This one right here.
Oh, I think you're wrong. I love that
Yeah,
one. Yep.
looks
Different
a little too
fireworks
stringy.
fade in different ways. Can you go back 2 more spreads?
Okay.
So this, keep going. Keep going. This one, you guys, the Island of
that was
Miniature
fun.
Porcupines. This is another thing that actually exists in the Annabelle Adams book that you are able to read online. The Island of Miniature Porcupines is where Annabelle encounters Dr. Fungo at the end of book 1, and they have their first epic encounter. And there's a very funny scene, if I may say so myself, in which the laser-eyed hand robots attack Annabelle and Floyd. Oops, excuse me, that
Does
was mine.
Annabelle get there on a jet ski?
She
in
does
the
not
story?
get there on a jet ski. She gets there on a speedboat.
Oh,
But that's
I
okay.
see.
But I like
Well,
it. I like it.
I think I drew the illustration before you wrote the Annabelle book, right?
Yeah,
So Oh no, Annabelle came before this. I should have read Annabelle Adams a little more closely.
You know what? It's okay. No one
The
is gonna
other
hold you to
thing, this
task.
is another hard one to draw. And I see I should have actually done it a little bit differently. Whoever's hands is that? Who's on the island?
Oh, we have some questions.
Eleanor.
We actually have some questions.
Okay, well,
So-
let me just see.
All right, I just wanted to let you know. how
So
exciting
Eleanor's
that was.
hands are blending in with the top of the teeth of the door. If I
Right.
had just cut that a little
Yeah.
bit shorter,
Yeah.
those hand silhouettes would have popped out a lot
Good point.
better. I
Good
did
point.
not do a good job there,
Yeah.
guys. All right.
All right. So, advice for aspiring authors. You guys,
Oh, just keep writing. Write every day. Write.
I think they were asking me, Robbie.
Oh.
I think they were asking me since I'm the author in this. So, what you guys do, just keep writing. Write. It's true. It's true. Robbie was absolutely right. You just have to keep making art. As I was saying, I wrote this book about 5 years ago, and it was good enough for someone to think it should be published. But looking at it now, I see ways in which I become a better storyteller. I see things that I would do differently. So you keep getting better the more you do something. I haven't decided that now that I've published a book, I'm a good enough writer and I'm not going to keep getting better at it. I mean, I couldn't help but get better at it by practicing it and practicing and practicing it. Right now, as soon as this ends, I'm going to go keep working on some books that I'm working on. And I'm excited for all that I have learned by writing for 40 years at this point, or almost 40
I
years.
was going to say, did you start writing when you were
I started writing when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Oh,
so,
look at you.
Yeah. You started drawing when you were 6 or 7 years old.
Everybody
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah,
drawing
and
when
everybody
they're
starts
six.
making
Yeah.
up stories. So
Yeah.
Moxie's dad looks like Matthew. I agree. He's very handsome, Moxie's dad. He's very hip, too. I think he has lots of fans in his
Moxie's
fan
dad
club.
is hip. I love Moxie's dad.
The other thing I would say about aspiring authors, you guys, is a very wise man named Ira Glass said something like this, that artists often, their taste evolves before their talent does.
Yes.
All right? So they can tell what they think good work is, what they think good writing is, or what they think beautiful art is, before they're able to make it themselves. And the problem is this can be very discouraging because you're writing your story and you're like, but my story is not as good as that person's story. I might just not be a good enough author and they're going to quit. That person had to practice and practice and practice and practice for a long time to get as good as they were.
Yeah.
Be inspired by people who
Not
write
discouraged
better
by
than
them.
you are
Yes.
instead of comparing yourself against them. You just aren't as far along yet, okay? Put it into a sports context. If you're a baseball fan, for example, you can't hit as well as Mike Trout can right now, but if you keep practicing, you might eventually be able to hit as well as you can.
You might not
Your
even
phone
know
is making
who Mike Trout
Robbie,
is.
that's embarrassing not to know who Mike Trout is. He's the greatest baseball player of our generation and perhaps of all time. We will
Never
see.
even heard that
Oh
name.
boy, you know he's an understated player. He's not an egomaniac.
Well, then
Matthew,
I like
where
him.
do you get your initial inspiration spark for a book? Well, two different questions here. There's where I get my original inspiration and spark for a series or a character, and then once I have developed the character in the world, coming up with ideas for new books. Those are two totally different things. One comes from the heart, and one comes more from the head.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, so when I'm coming up with an idea for a new series or a new character, I have to find some part of myself that is a unique little nugget that I can pull out and turn into a character in a world. And so the part of me that is Moxie is different from the part of me that is Ben Yokoyama. Okay, Ben Yokoyama is the character in Cookie Chronicles. Moxie is the character. What are you scoffing about?
Matthew knows that this question drives me batty. The
Yeah.
answers that writers give to where do you get your inspiration.
Don't
the
you
question
think
was
that it-
where?
Well,
Not like some
right here,
part of
right
me.
here. Here's
that
Moxie.
yes.
I kind of like took a fork and I pried her out and I
I
put her on
want to
the...
know where these things come from too, and Matthew never has a satisfying answer. He's just like, sometimes they just come. It just comes to me. He was in.
Here's how it happens.
He was
You
in
write
the
a
office-
lot, and one day you wake up, and the thing that you write, you say, oh, there is something true about that. There is something vital about that. There's something compelling or funny or worth elaborate on. You write a lot the same way that you pan for gold a lot, and every once in a while you find a nugget. You've got to be relentless. You've got to get down in the stream on your knees with the panning thing and pan, because you love it. And you're like, holy cow, there's Moxie. And then you write more about her. Once I know about Moxie and I have to come up with more adventures for Moxie, then it's a matter of saying, what's an interesting situation I could put Moxie in to solve a problem? In the case of book 2, Two's a Crowd, it's that one day we got an anonymous bouquet of flowers
Yes.
on our front porch, and that was the inspiration for the squiggler. In the case of book 3, I think it's that I knew that there were a couple of Dublingers, and I wanted to do something interesting with the fact that they were twins. So in book 3, when we get to it, you'll see that the Dublingers are pitted against each other, and that was enough for me to build a plot around. So anyway, long answer, but should we do some jokes before we go? We're already over time.
And El Puppy's leaving. She's got to go.
Bye, LP.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Matthew said you were up all night drawing that page. That must be exhausting to draw on a computer. Thinking about sitting at the computer. Can you talk about that?
Yes, but I have a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
I can't lift my shoulder higher than this because I've spent too much time leaning and drawing hunched over at the same time. So, it's not the greatest. I have to learn how to redo my...
Robbie tends to compress all of her work till the very end of a project rather than spreading it out in a
Yes.
shoulder-friendly way.
Yes.
So that's maybe the main shift.
Yes, I need to figure out how to do this better. I'm not exercising good practices as an illustrator. So staying up all night I stay up all night because there's nobody bothering me in the middle of the night.
Should we save these jokes for tomorrow's Fun Fest?
For tomorrow's free for all.
At the risk of making you guys repeat your jokes.
I know.
Bring them tomorrow.
But also bring your robot. Actually, I'm going to bring your robot information because you all have emailed it to me today.
That's what we've heard.
On the final day of the deadline.
And
day.
Waylon, send some permission to put that picture on, okay,
please.
from your mom or your dad, to text or email. And
All right.
friends, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yay!
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
I
for
hope you
joining
guys
us.
wore your ties today. I hope you did.
Tomorrow we're not reading anything. It's free for all.
Tomorrow we're not
Robot
reading anything.
Day.
It's free for all. Because we finished a chapter, now it's time for a break.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All right.
Farewell, friends.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Happy Saturday.
Happy